Howdy folks, I'm Brian,
I'm Amber.
and here's some Reddit. And folks, we have a live stream coming up on Friday at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, so we hope to see you then. So let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Refusing to Walk the Dog in the Mornings? We got a COVID puppy. The kids and spouse wore me down even though I'm not a dog person and didn't want another living thing in the house to take care of. The one condition I made was that I would never be in charge of the dog or pick up its poop. Well, 6 years later, and I have never had to. I would never neglect the dog, but my kids and spouse have been good about taking care of him. I spent years walking with my kids, including in the cold, dark winter mornings at 6 a.m. until they were old enough to walk the dog alone. I enjoyed walking and getting one-on-one time with my kids. I often still walk with the kids or spouse when they are walking the dog. Well, this school year, my work schedule has changed, and I will have over an hour alone after the kids and spouse leave for high school and work. Spouse leaves at 6:45, and the kids leave at 7, and I leave at 8:15. My kids think that I should walk him alone after they leave so they won't have to get up as early to get ready for school. My spouse is staying quiet as they never did walk the dog in the morning and is the main caretaker of the dog otherwise. Am I the jerk for holding to our original agreement and refusing to walk the dog alone in the morning? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, absolutely not the jerk. I mean, you made yourself clear at the outset that you were not going to clean up after the dog. And so there's nothing wrong with continuing to hold firm to that. I understand that the kids don't enjoy walking the dog in early mornings, but they're the ones who wanted the dog and agreed to this responsibility. It's theirs to deal with.
You know, that's the nice thing about pets is that they can teach long-term responsibility and that you can't just shirk your responsibilities when it's inconvenient, right? The kids are learning a very valuable lesson that there are some things when you commit to them that you've committed to them for the long haul. And I think that is a valuable lesson that you're going to be held account sometimes when you commit to doing something. And yeah, while the kids were young, it sounds like they still need to understand that this was something they agreed to, and they can't just stop taking care of the dog now that it's inconvenient because they want more sleep.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you bring up a good point about the responsibility. Like, it is very important for kids to see before they become adults and would think about getting pets of their own, that pets are not just these cute little fluff balls that you play with and that they
Yeah.
are living beings who are wholly dependent on you.
Yeah.
And that's a big responsibility.
Yeah, and so I think that OP should stick to their original agreement and force the kids to continue to take care of the dog because that's what they said they were going to do, and they need to learn how to stick to their commitments. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Will I be a jerk if I change the password on a friend's game account without their permission? Hi, I'm a 29-year-old female, and I took care of a friend, a 27-year-old female's online avatar for a few years now, and think of changing this password. I met this friend 10 plus years ago during a holiday, and we discovered that we play the same game online, where you have a character and take care of them regularly. They told me that they almost never logged into their account, and I volunteered to take care of their character since I play this game every single day. They accepted, and from now on, I log into their account every day, and I take care of their account. I even stack the account as I did with my own account, and I tried to improve what I could, though. I spent a long time taking care of it and trying to make the character the best that I could on every level. One day, my friend logged into the account and wiped out a lot of what I had done. I was upset because I spent a lot of time working on it, and they gave me an excuse I don't fully remember, but it was not because they didn't like what I did. Even though I was hurt by what they did, I kept logging into their account and spent a long time on this character until now. After this incident, they never logged on to the game as far as I know, and we don't speak to one another anymore. Recently, I thought that I would change the password to be the only owner of the account, since I've been the only one using it since the incident, and I don't want to risk the same thing happening again. My issue is that I don't know if I'm entitled to the account since this person created it, and from what I know, they put some real-life money into the game when they played. On the other hand, I'm the only one logging into it every single day, and basically am its owner now. Will I be the jerk if I change the password to this account and be the only one able to log into it even though I didn't create it? Edit. Thanks to those who did put some insight, whether agreeing or not. I feel like I should make some clarifications instead of responding over and over to the same questions. I am attached to their account because I spent 10 plus years on it and I didn't want to see it disappear if it remains inactive long enough. I could, according to many people here, let it be and it would end up being erased, and that's probably the best solution apparently. I have my own account on the website, which I don't want to disclose the name of because it feels irrelevant to me, but logging into their account is a daily routine for me, and as I said, I try to level up their account and give it the same care that I do for my own. I've seen the comparison with real life objects and stuff, and I still am thinking whether it's a good comparison to make. It feels unjust, but I'm still trying to grapple with this argument. I don't live in the US and I don't know if what I think of doing is qualified as a crime in my country. Same for the terms of service. This case is so specific that I don't think that they thought of that when making the game. I haven't made a final decision. This is why I posted here. So stop telling me I already made it and tried to justify it afterwards. Edit 2, I had to eat so I couldn't finish my previous edit. I'm sorry for being overly defensive against so many people who indeed asked me nicely for more information. I got several insults or rude comments. Before you say anything, I can take criticism, even if I know I am defensive, but rudeness is a huge no for me. I can separate one from the other. If you want more information, ask for it, and I'll deliver as much as I can. My post was about how much I'm entitled to the account because I know I didn't create it, but I most likely spent more time than the person who made it, and they never set boundaries or rules for me using it. They were happy someone was using it. I thought that it was a gray area and was looking for some clearance. Yes, I'm still going to think a lot about it because I'm an overthinker and have a hard time making decisions. I don't think I have a way to contact this person. We just parted ways because it's life and would be awkward after 10 plus years of silence to contact them just for this. This is how I feel. All right, folks, what do you think?
Oh, this is a rough situation, but OP, unfortunately, I don't think that you have the claim here. I would recommend trying to reach out to the person on the old contact information you have for them.
Yeah.
Because it is still their account. And I understand you put a lot of time and energy into it. But unfortunately, when you don't own something, things get complicated. You know, we see this happen all the time with physical possessions. Like someone moves into a house they don't own and they put in all these upgrades and whatnot, all this labor. But if they don't own the house, they can be kicked out and leave with nothing. You know, and so that's the unfortunate reality when you're using someone else's things.
Yeah, I mean, I would I would think the better comparison would be to like a squatter, where certain places have squatter rights, where if you sit on something for long enough, then it kind of becomes your own property. I'm not saying that that's justified or not. I'm saying that there's a certain level of like, well, OP was the only person using this for a long time. Does that become theirs? And when we did the backpack story where somebody left the backpack for a year, there were a lot of people, I don't remember if it was all on YouTube, but there were a lot of people on Instagram who were like, yeah, that belongs to that other person now, basically. Like, and that was only after a year, right? That was still a physical possession that that person bought, but there's a certain level, I think, of people who will think that, well, I mean, if you're not using it for a certain amount of time and someone else is using it, then you kind of give up any, rights to that property. I'm not saying that's what I believe or not. I'm just saying that that's what I was hearing from some of the comments. So I can expect that there's going to be some level of that here as well. But as for like what I feel, I think the best way to resolve a situation like this is kind of like what Amber was saying. Try to reach out to the person. Try to buy the account off of them.
If that doesn't violate terms of service.
Yeah, well, reimburse them for the money that they spent on the account is kind of what I mean. And say, hey, I know you spent real money on this. I would like to take over this account permanently. Is that all right by you? I noticed that you haven't played this game in like 10 years. So on and so forth, right?
Yeah.
So I think that there is a place where OP can talk to them and basically take ownership of this account, because I think that they do have some level of sentimental attachment to this account, which is understandable since they've logged into this account for 10 plus years, right?
Right. But it is like, I wonder too if there's any like personally identifiable information. Because it's kind of like the thing with the backpack is it was like a random item that had
Mm-hmm.
nothing personally identifiable to go with it. And so when you lose something somewhere and like it's just like a generic item with nothing to go off of, I feel like it's a little bit different from an account with personal information and like credit card details and all that kind of stuff. I know you can remove and change that information, but I feel like that adds a layer of complication in that like it's kind of designated in a way potentially. I don't know how this website works.
Yeah, I mean, there certainly could be some level of information like that associated with the account. And that's why I'm kind of feeling that OP should talk to this person
Yeah, well,
and figure out if there's a way of transferring ownership permanently.
yeah, that's why like I 100% agree that like talking is the way to go. I know OP's like, well, it will be awkward, but
Yeah, yeah, I mean,
sometimes you have to have uncomfortable conversations. If this account means that much to you,
hmm
it should be worth the awkward conversation. Like, and I get it. I hate having awkward conversations,
yeah.
but sometimes, that's a necessity in life. If you really want something, if you want it badly enough, you'll sit through the awkwardness to try and get it.
Yeah, well, this other person, it sounds like they logged in that one time and they probably realized that the game wasn't for them again, or that they recognized the amount of work that OP put into it and were like, well, I mean, I don't know, I'm not interested in rocking this boat or changing things. And I would kind of take that one time login and then never logging in again as kind of a sign that they've probably permanently abandoned this account.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like my guess is that they probably aren't going to do anything.
Yeah.
So if OP just leaves it be, like, because OP says it's been like 10 plus years since
Yeah.
the incident. Um, so they probably are not invested in it at all.
Yeah, I mean, I would doubt they have any real attachment to this account and probably even care. They probably are just like, OP is using it. I don't really care. If if someone was using an account of mine like that, then I would probably feel the same. But that's me reflecting my own personal like values and judgment onto a completely different circumstance. So I don't know how this other person feels. Maybe they feel pushed out of their account. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Defrosting Packaged Meat Without a Plate in the Microwave? Yes. I am the main cook in our household, and this morning, while making some breakfast sausage, my wife discovered how I defrost the packaged meat rolls. I had just placed the rolls directly onto the turntable and started the defrost cycle. My wife noticed something odd and came running back in frustration and asked, Is that how you defrost meat without a plate? I told her yes. That's how I've done it in the past. She proceeded to worry, telling me now there's an unknown amount of raw meat contamination on the microwave, countertops, dishes, and trivets, and now all have to be thoroughly disinfected. She asked how a grown adult male did not know that you cannot place raw meat on countertops and microwave surfaces without trays and plates. Also, that I place raw meat in the refrigerator without protection from the packages or in a contained dish. Am I the jerk? Edit, it's always in its original meat packaging or a storage bag like a freezer or vacuum bag. I know not to place the actual raw meat directly onto a random surface. All right, folks, what do you think?
Yeah, this does not sound sanitary. I mean, first of all, like I know OP's saying, well, I didn't put it directly on the surface, but a lot of freezer bags and whatnot are not actually meant for being microwaved. And so you could be putting all kinds of microplastics into your food when you're doing that. You really do need dishes under meat when you're defrosting.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest question here is, was there any leakage of meat juices? If there was any leakage of meat juices at all, then OP should have taken the appropriate measures to ensure that those juices were not leaking places, right? Like, it doesn't matter if it's a single drop of, raw meat juice, that still is going to contain bacteria that
So
could
many of
be,
them.
yeah, it could be, deadly to people or make people sick or any number of things, right? Proper handling of meat is a really important thing to know. And if OP isn't properly handling that, they can make people very ill. And that's not something that they should be, playing roulette with. It's a very easy thing to avoid getting everyone in the household sick by making sure that there's a plate underneath of this, or that they aren't spreading around contamination, right? So to me, there's enough gray here in OP's edit to make it sound like maybe there wasn't meat juices being spread everywhere. But with the wife's reaction here, where she's like, oh my goodness, there's meat juice everywhere, it sounds like there was probably meat juices everywhere.
Well, I mean, I have a lot of questions about OP's edit, because the way he phrases, like putting raw meat into the fridge without any protection from the packaging, it's like, so are you just like keeping it in a freezer bag for the microwave and then you're taking it out and leaving it on the countertops? Like, it raises a lot of questions, but the best course of action is to use items that are rated for the microwave, like plates and whatnot, to support your meat if you're defrosting it.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here. And Amber, she has a joke.
Why can't ants get sick?
Because they get antsy instead.
They have all the right antibodies.
Oh. That's probably one of the better jokes, but it was still terrible. And folks, I have the special guest tea, some throat coat tea once more. And folks, today is a very special day. It's a proper cooking, food handling procedure
handling
day.
safety day.
Yeah, so make sure to go handle food safely. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy wonderful Wednesday, Hump Day, Friday, Junior's Eve. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it a haiku for Haiku Wednesday.
It's fine to say no when you've already been clear. Don't cave to pressure.
Yeah, but thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.